Alright, we're at the end of chapter 7, solving equations with rational expressions. Okay. This part isn't that bad. It's not as bad as the other parts, I don't think. It starts out like this. We're going to start out with a fraction. 3/4 x minus 2/3 x. This is a quick review of our previous lessons. So, to do this, we need to get a least common denominator first. Once we get the least common denominator, then we're going to add or subtract. Alright, remember, least common denominator, 4 and 3. We can use multiples to do that. It's one way. We write 4, we write 3, we find out what number it is. So this is going to be 4 times 3 equals 12. Can't be higher than 12, so you go 4, 8, 12. Can't be higher than 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. Alright, 12 is our number. So our least common denominator for my number is 12. I have an x and an x. It has to be x. Alright, so now 12 is our least common denominator, and we make a new fraction for it. 12x, 12x, bring our sign down. Alright, we're set up here. Now, put a box over here, we put a box over here, and we figure out what changed, what was multiplied from here to here to here. 4 times what is 12? Well, that's times 3. And we have x and an x. Nothing changed on our variable. Alright, so we do the same thing on the other side. 3 times what is 12? So it's 4. And we have an x and an x. That stays the same. That would just be 1. Alright, now we multiply our numerators. So we go like this. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 4 is 8. We bring our problem down. We write it over our denominator, 12x. And we're going to write 9 minus 8. 9 minus 8. And then we write our answer. 9 minus 8 is equal to 1 over 12x. Alright. There's no simplifying because the 1 is in the numerator. That can't go any lower. And you're finished for that problem. Alright. That was our previous lesson. This is the basic version of it. What we're going to do with this lesson is, we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to make it easier. Alright. So, if you need to pause it, go ahead. Alright. It's going to look a little bit different now. So, since we have equations, an equation means we're going to have an equal sign. So, we're going to put an equal sign here, and we're going to put 1/2 here. Now, in the very beginning of class, I told you, the best way to work with fractions is to not work with fractions. We don't want to work with fractions. We want to get rid of fractions. So, first thing we have to do, least common denominator. But this time, it's of all 3 fractions. So we need a number that 4, 3, and 2 can all go into. Alright, so we get our least common denominator first. 4, 3, and 2. Alright, we write our numbers out. 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay, 3. So this is, I was writing 6. I skipped a step. 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, I got 12 and 12. And I know 2 goes into 12. So 2 will definitely go into 12. So 12 is my least common denominator. So right now my least common denominator for my number is 12. Okay. And then we have an x and no x. That means we have to use a x. Alright. So it just happened that our least common denominator is the same as it was in the previous problem. Alright. Now you can do this. You can make new fractions, but in this lesson we're going to get the least common denominator, and then we're going to make our lives a lot easier. Step 2 is get rid of the fractions. Get rid of the fractions. And how do we do it? We multiply each term by the LCD. Multiply each term by the LCD. So that's all step 2. That's step 1. So let's try that. I'm going to rewrite this so you guys see it. Original problem and then our next step. So I have 3/4 x minus 2/3 x. And I'm leaving a little bit of room in here because I'm going to write in here equals 1/2. So this is what we do now. We take our least common denominator, 12x, and we write it right here. 12x. 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 So, and I wrote it at the top because 12x is actually a whole number. So it would be 12x over 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to solve this right here. Now if you forget, if you're like, I don't know how to solve that, it's okay. Do a little quick side note over here. If you had 3/4 and you had 12x over 1, and we're multiplying, the rules for multiplying is just multiply straight across. Alright? You can multiply straight across, you would get 36x over 4. And then you have to simplify. 36x over 4 would be equal to 36 divided by 4 is 9, and then x divided by 1 is x. Alright? That's it. 9x. That's our answer. Alright? This is one option for solving that. So this is going to come out to be 9x as a whole number. I'm going to show you option 2. So option 2 is, I'm going to take this right here because we have to do that anyway. Option 2 to solve that kind of problem. We have 2 over 3x and it's times 12x. Right, and I'm going to leave it just how I wrote it there. Alright, one thing you can do is you can cross cancel. If you're good at that, that's fine. The way I like to do it, especially when you're first learning, you can do this. 2 times 12x equals 24x, and then divided by this 3. Divided by 3x. It's the same thing you're doing here, but it saves you a little bit of room. So you have 24x divided by 3x. The x's cancel. 24 divided by 3 equals 8. Alright, so that's another way to do it. So this is going to be negative 8. Alright, and then we do this one. I'm going to do this one over here on the board. 1 times 12x equals 12x. Let's divide it by that 2. 12x divided by 2 is 6x. So I'm going to bring my 6x down here and equal sign. Try to keep it lined up as best you can. Now we go all the way back to chapter 2 where we just solved for x. So we have a 9x here, positive, that's good. I'm going to get rid of this, just so it's cleaner looking. Alright, 9x minus 8 equals 6x. So my 9x is positive and it's bigger than the 6x. So I'd rather move this 6x over and move this 8 to this side. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 6x first. That cancels. This is going to be equals 0. Nothing's over there. We bring down our negative 8. And then 9x minus 6x is 3x. So we move our 8 over next. Plus 8. Plus 8. 8's cancel. We're going to get 3x is equal to 8. And then we divide by 3. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. The 3's cancel. We're going to get x is equal to 8/3, or this would be 2 2/3. And then you're done. That's it. So, hardest part about this, I think, is just getting that least common denominator and multiplying by it. Then it goes back to the earlier lessons, which our skills are usually pretty good by now on those types of problems. Alright, let's do another one. So, least common denominator, multiply each term by the least common denominator, and then our third step was solve for the variable. 3 steps. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so that's our problem. Alright, I know I'd have to do least common denominator first, but this is, what's that? I don't know about that. Let me rewrite this real fast. Let me just do this. 2x over 3. I'm leaving some space now. I'm going to give myself some space because I know I'm going to be multiplying by my least common denominator. And I have to do something with this too. I know that there's a 3 in the denominator, a 9 in the denominator. What's under the 2? What's the denominator that's under the 2? It's a whole number. If it's a whole number, the denominator is 1. So to get a least common denominator for this, it doesn't really matter. Because this, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. This 1 doesn't matter. The 3 and the 9, we just have to find the least common denominator with that. That's not really that bad. So we go over here, least common denominator, 3 and 9. Because 1 goes into every number, and you have 3, 6, 9. There we go. 9 and 9. So our least common denominator is 9 on this. So if my least common denominator is 9, step 1 is finished. I go to step 2. Get rid of fractions. Multiply each term by a least common denominator. Alright, so all I'm going to do is take this 9, and I'm going to write it in here. 9, 9, 9. Alright, so I'm going to do the shortcut way, which is this. 2x times 9 would give me 18x. And if I divide 18x divided by 3, that's going to give me 6x. Same thing here. If you know cross canceling, you would just go like this and you would cross these out. If these are the same, you can just cross them out like this. Create a cross. And I'll show you that in a second. 4x times 9 is 36x. Divide that by 9. You're going to get 4x. Don't forget to bring your sign down. But since it's a 9 and a 9, this is how I teach it. 9 and 9 cross cancel. And then this just falls down. Because it's not held up by anything. Look, it just goes, done. Alright, over here, you have 2 times 9 divided by 1. And that's going to give you 2 times 9 is 18. Divided by 1 is 18. Okay, here's our problem. 6x minus 4x equals 18. It's already set up. That's a beautiful thing. Alright, so what's this? 6x minus 4x is 2x. Equals 18. 2x equals 18, so we divide by 2 here. They would cross out, divide by 2. We're going to get x is equal to 9. Problem's done. Alright, let's try another one. Alright, we got to step our game up here a little bit. Let's see. These are done. It's nice when the pages are done. That means we're getting closer. Here we go. Alright, we have x over 3 plus x over 4 equals 10 plus x. So now we have 4 terms. So 4 terms, okay, we still can do it, no problem. All right. So first thing, this is our original problem. I'm going to rewrite the problem with a little bit of space in between each one. So I'm going to come over here, x plus x over 4 equal to 10 plus x. Alright, now we know that over here there's a 1 under these. We usually don't write it, but I'm just showing it to you for our purposes of our least common denominator. We have a 3, a 4, a 1, and a 1. So the 1's don't matter, so we really don't have to worry about them. So if you have whole numbers over here, you don't have to do anything with them. You only worry about the denominators. We have 3 and 4. So 3 and 4, we already did today. 3 and 4, our least common denominator is 12. All right. So we do this. We take our least common denominator 12, and then we multiply by it. Step 2. 12. 12. This has to be multiplied too. It has to stay equal, balanced all the way through. Whatever you multiply here, you have to divide every single one. 12 and 12. Okay, let's solve for this then. X times 12 is 12x divided by 3. This will give you 4x. Next one. X times 12 is 12x. 12x divided by 4 is 3x. Don't forget your sign. Equals 10 times 12 is 120 plus x times 12 is 12x. Alright. Not that bad, not that bad. Alright, so first thing, combine like terms. Right here. This is 7x is equal to 120 plus 12x. Okay? Now we look. I see that I have this. I can move this over, but I know I'm going to get a negative coefficient and variable, negative term. Now if you're okay with that, I would do this. I'd move this over and then do change at the end. If you're not too good with your signs and doing change or multiplying by a negative or positive 1, multiplying by a negative or dividing by a negative 1, you would move this over and then move this over and you would get the same answer. I'm going to do it the quicker way. Minus 12x, minus 12x. This is so one step. This is going to go away. This is going to come down to be negative 5x is equal to 120. Now, before I do anything, I always do change to get rid of this sign, because the sign is what messes people up. If you're comfortable here, you divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5, that's fine. I always go like this. I want to get my variable to be positive before I do my work. Positive, negative. I just did change. I just changed the signs all the way across my problem. So now, my new problem is 5x is equal to negative 120. And now I divide by 5. Divide by 5. Those 5's cancel. And that's going to give me x. Should write it there. X is equal to, and then I do this. So I know it's a negative because there's only one negative. Remember, an odd number of negatives gives you a negative for an answer. And then 120 divided by 5. 5 goes into 12 2 times, and then 2 left over, and then that's a 4, 24. So my answer is x equals negative 24. If you don't believe yourself, you can take negative 24, you could put it here, here, and here, and both sides will be balanced, or they'll get the same answer. Alright, next one. I hope you're catching on to this. This is something I enjoy doing this. I enjoy it. Alright, now you're going to be on your own for one. Let's try. We got a couple problems. We got to try them. Make sure we're ready for our upcoming test. Okay. Original problem. I'm going to write it with space in between. So I have x over 5 plus 3. I don't have to write anything here. No denominator. Just keep it as a whole number. Equals 3 over 5. Okay. Make sure I wrote it right. I did write it correctly. So now I just look at my numbers. I have 5 as a denominator, a 1, which we don't have to worry about, and a 5. So my least common denominator between a 5 and a 5 is a 5. And my least common denominator is 5. So I'm going to take everything and multiply it by 5 right here. Times 5, times 5, times 5. So now we go like this. Remember the trick? 5 and 5, cross it out, this drops down. Plus 3 times 5 is 15, is equal to 3 over 5 times 5, 5's cancel, 3 drops down. Okay? This isn't a bad problem at all now. Alright, look, x plus 15 equals 3. I subtract 15 from both sides. This cancels. I'm going to get x is equal to 3 minus 15 is going to be negative 12. That's my answer. Now take a look at a couple things. One is, are your numbers lined up? See how this is all lined up when it comes down and there's nothing here? My x's came down. I moved it over a little bit so I can get it a little bit closer to the equal sign. And my numbers here pretty much line up. Alright? Okay. Let's try another one. Maybe that was too easy for you, huh? Maybe not. Okay, here we go. X over 2 minus x over 3 equals 5/6. Okay, so check it out, pause it. I'm going to get started on the answer. So, first thing, denominators are different. I got to find my least common denominator of 2, 3, 6. Okay? I got 2, a 3, and a 6. Well, right now you should be thinking, oh, 2 and 3 go into 6. I could do that. If you didn't see it, you write 2, 4, 6. Oh, there's 6. And then you write 3, 6. Oh, there's 6. And then 6. Oh, there's another 6. Okay, so I have my least common denominator of 6. Okay. So now I'm going to rewrite my problem with space, with room to multiply by that 6. So I have x over 2 minus x over 3 equals 5/6. I'm going to multiply by 6. 6, 6, 6. Alright, if you're superstitious, don't be. They're not really in order. 6x, 6, 5, 6. So we don't have any problems. Don't worry about that if you're superstitious. Alright, just numbers. Here we go. X times 6 is 6x. 6x divided by 2 is 3x. Now we're going to subtract from x times 6 is 6x divided by 3 is 2x. It equals 5, 6 times 6. Look, 6 is, that's perfect. They cross out. 5 falls down. Done. Now, combine like terms. We solved for our variable. We're on step 3 already. It's awesome. 3x minus 2x is x equals 5. Done. Alright, that's the first lesson in this group. That part is finished. Now we move on. Next level. here we go. We have p over 2 minus p minus 1 over 3 is equal to 1. First thing, least common denominator. We have a 2, a 3, and a 1. Alright? So we have 2 and 3. Right away you should be thinking, oh, I know 2 times 3 is 6. They're both prime. Multiply them together, we get our least common denominator. So our least common denominator here is 6. Okay? So now, I'm going to rewrite them with a little bit more space in there. Minus p minus 1 over 3. And it's equal to 1. I'll move this over a little bit. I'm multiplying by 6. 6, 6, and 6. Make sure you do all 3 terms. Okay. Now, here we go. P times 6 is 6p divided by 2. Alright, 6p divided by 2 would be 3p. Okay, got it. Alright, negative. This 6 has to be distributed in here. So we have to go like this. We have to bring this 6 over here. But I don't want that 6 there. I want it to be, look, if I bring it over here, I have 6 here now. 6, but I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this fraction. 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. So I'm going to write a 2 here, and I have to keep this binomial, which is p minus 1. Alright, and then we do our last one. Is equal to 1 times 6 is 6. So the only real new step is, now we have to distribute a number in here. We have to bring what we're multiplying to the front of our binomial, and then try to get rid of at least a part of it, 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Now we have an equation to solve. Combine like terms. So here we go, 3p. We can't do anything with that yet. 3p. This, we have negative 2 times p. That's negative 2p. Negative 2 and a negative 1 is a positive 2. Equals 6. Okay. We're still on combine like terms. So we have a 3p and a 2p. That's going to be 3p minus 2p is p. They'll come down and give me p plus 2 is equal to 6. You might be able to figure that out in your head, but I'm going to show the work because sometimes you can get credit for that. Subtract 2, cross that out, you'll get p is equal to 6 minus 2 is 4. P is equal to 4. Try to keep everything lined up best you can. Pause it if you need to. Alright, next one. Good. This problem looks a little bit different. We definitely have a binomial here, and now we have a negative fraction over here. It's the same, essentially the same problem. So we're going to go like this. Give a little bit of space. Now make sure you copy it down, make sure the signs are correct as best you can. Alright, so now we go. Least common denominator. 6, 4, 2. Alright, we have 6, a 4, and a 2. Alright, okay, so let's do this. 6, 12. I know 4 doesn't go into 6, but 4 goes into 12. And if 4 goes into 12, that means 2 will go into 12. So, if you didn't see that, you would have wrote this. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So our least common denominator here is 12. So now we're going to write that in here. 12 times 12. Now, before we're writing it here, right, we have to get it here. But I'm going to leave it here for now. And then the next one I'm going to switch it. When we have a binomial, we're going to write it in the front of the problem here. In the front of the binomial. And then I have 12 over here. Okay, let's solve. K times 12 is 12k. Divided by 6, 12 divided by 6 is 2. So that's going to give me 2k. Now here I know I have to do a little bit of work here. The best idea here is cross-cancel this. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 4. So this crosses out, you're going to get a 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3 at the top. We take this, we write it here. Alright, so that's minus 3, a negative 3, and then this has to go in parentheses. K plus 1. And then we go to the equals. Negative 1 times 12 is a negative 12 divided by 2. That will give you a negative 6. Alright. Next step is distribute, right here. So we're going to rewrite 2k. We're going to distribute this. Negative 3 times k is negative 3k. And then negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. And now it equals negative 6. Combine like terms. Alright, I have a 2k minus 3k is going to give me a negative k. So these two give me a negative k. Minus 3 equals negative 6. Now look, the best thing to do on these, in my opinion, is if you're starting out with a negative variable, just change all your signs. Go like this. Change, change, change. And then rewrite. Here you're going to have k plus 3 equals 6. So much better to work with that. Now your variable is positive. You're going to move this 3 over, and you're going to be done. Negative 3, cross that out. You're going to get k is equal to 3. Alright, pause it if you need to. Alright, if you feel like you have this, pause it. Try it. It's the same exact thing. Alright, so first thing I'm going to rewrite it, give myself a little bit of space. Alright, so hopefully you noticed two things. One, we have a binomial here, and we have a negative answer here. So don't forget that negative. Alright, so let's get our least common denominator. We have a 5, a 3, and a 5. So I have 5 and a 3. Well, I know 3 times 5 equals 15. So I can do this. 5, 10, 15. Can 3 go into 5? No. Can 3 go into 10? No. But 3 goes into 15. That's our least common denominator. 15. We're going to write 15 here. But on this one, I'm not going to write the 15 here. Remember what I said before? We're going to try to write it in the front. Keep that in parentheses. On this side, it doesn't matter, because it's just a monomial. You're only multiplying one term here. So then, on this side, it also will not matter. Alright? But if you have a binomial, we're going to try to write it in the front of the binomial so we can distribute easier after we cross-cancel. Alright, next step. which is cross cancel. Alright, so let's simplify this. 15 divided by 5 is a 3. Now we bring this down. 3, 2m minus 3. Next step, keep your negative sign. M times 15 is 15m. Divided by 3 is 5m. Last part, equals negative 6 times 15. Oh, now you're getting bigger numbers? I don't know if I want to do that, but look. 15 divided by 5 was 3. So it's the same thing over here. We practice this cross-canceling. 15 divided by 5. This becomes a 3. This goes away. So now we just have to multiply across. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. That goes down here. Negative 18. And you're dividing by a negative 1. So you don't have to worry about bringing the 18 down. Negative 18. Alright. Same steps as before. Distribute, combine like terms, solve for your variable. Alright, distribute first. 6m minus 9, okay, minus, nothing happened here, 5m is equal to negative 18. Alright, what can we combine here? Well, we have a 6m here and a negative 5m there. 6m minus 5m is m. So that takes care of those two. I cross them out like that so I don't forget to bring something down. I have to bring this down, negative 9. So it's m minus 9 is equal to negative 18. So, add 9 on both sides. Remember, keep your equation balanced, cross that out. You're going to get m is equal to negative 18 plus 9. That's going to give me 9. Okay. Alright, hopefully you did that one on your own and you tried it, you got it right, or you go back, pause it, look for your mistake. Where did you make a mistake at? I don't know. I can't see your paper. Alright, moving on. Alright, we have 2 pages left of notes. 2 pages left of notes. Here we go. We're going to start out with x. X minus 2 is equal to 2 over x minus 2 plus 2. Alright, a couple things happened here. Write that down. A couple things happened here. Now, we have a binomial on the bottom. Alright, still doable. We have a denominator here of 1. It's a whole number of 2. And, alright, not that bad, not that bad. So, first thing I have to do is a least common denominator. Well, my least common denominator of x minus 2 and x minus 2, you can put parentheses around them if you need to. They're the same and there's a 1 here. So my least common denominator is x minus 2. Okay. Let me rewrite it so I have room. So I'm going to have x minus 2, I'm going to put it in parentheses, is equal to 2 over x minus 2 plus 2. Now I'm not sure if you noticed, they changed our problem around. They put our answer here, and they put our 2 factors that we're adding on that side. Alright, so here we go. Least common denominator is x minus 2. We follow the same rules. Get rid of the fractions, multiply by the least common denominator. So we're just going to put x minus 2 here, x minus 2 here, and x minus 2 here. Now you do the same exact steps. Can you cross anything out like we were crossing out those 5s in the last problem? Well, x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 is going to be nothing. X comes down. X is equal to 2 times x minus 2 divided by x minus 2. Cross that out. 2 comes down. Now over here, we do have to distribute this. So I'm going to bring this down like this to show you that's the step. If you're a little more advanced and you're like, oh, I could just do that now, get that over with, you can. You can do that. So here I have an x equals 2, and I have to distribute this. This is going to be 2x, so plus 2x, and then 2 times a negative 2 is a negative 4. Alright, combine like terms, except this is our answer. We're combining like terms on this side, on the right side this time. Same thing. We have a 2 and a negative 4. What's 2 minus 4? If you said minus 2, you're correct. So that goes away, that goes away. But look, you can't forget this. So this has to go in the front because it has the x. 2x equals x. Alright, there's two things you can do. One, move this over and then change, or move this over and then move that over. So either way you have two steps. I'm going to do change because I think it's the fastest. I'm going to subtract 2x, these go away, they cancel each other out. X minus 2x is negative x equals, bring this down, negative 2. Okay. Now we do change, which is the same thing as multiplying by a negative 1 or dividing by a negative 1. All you're doing is going like this, change. And now your answer is x equals a positive 2. X equals 2. And that problem's finished. Alright, let's go to our next one. Okay, we're going to start out with 1 minus 2 over x plus 1 is equal to 2x over x plus 1. Now nothing changed. Now they just put the problem back like it was. They moved the fractions to the second and third position in the problem, and they put the whole number here. Nothing changed. Alright, except the order. So we do the same thing. I'm going to write and give myself a little bit of space here. 1 minus 2 over x plus 1. And it's equal to 2x over x plus 1. Still have to get a least common denominator first. Least common denominator. I have a 1 under here. X plus 1 and x plus 1. It looks like my least common denominator is going to be x plus 1. So I write that in here. X plus 1. 1 times x plus 1. Up here we're going to have x plus 1. And over here we're going to have x plus 1. So we solve this. 1 times x plus 1 is just going to be x plus 1. Here we have 2 times x plus 1, or negative 2 times x plus 1, divided by x plus 1. Cross it out. This comes down. Don't forget the negative sign. Over here, 2x times x plus 1 divided by x plus 1. Cancels. Equals 2x. Alright, now we do combine like terms. We have x plus 1 minus 2 equals 2x. So we have to do this part first, combine our like terms. So we're going to come out with x. 1 minus 2 is a negative 1, and that's going to equal 2x. So my numbers here, this is positive and it's bigger than our other variable. So I'm just going to subtract my x